Live from the Hoboken Historical Museum in beautiful uptown Hoboken, it's... Wait for it. It's Hoboken Talks! Hoboken Talks, the bi-weekly web series where we talk to the fascinating characters around town. Look, there's me talking with Michael Hill and look at all these great people. We talk to the characters, the entrepreneurs, the artists.
Eric Kammer is there.
Eric Kammer is there. Went from fan to guest to host. That can happen to you. And today, this week, oh my goodness, I'm excited. It's Tom Beaujour. You know him. If you don't know him, you know him. Best-selling author. He's a producer, a music producer. There's Eric Kammer. Eric, you're... He's so eager to get in there. We didn't even start yet. Where was... Here he is. It's Tom Beaujour, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey.
Music producer.
Check.
And all that involves is the engineering also. Do you do mixing?
Oh, yes.
You
it's
mix.
my preferred thing to do.
You
right
love
now, yeah.
mixing.
Love mixing.
You're a guitarist.
Yes.
Sure.
That's how it all started.
We're gonna cover everything. But then who's this? Who's this?
That's our Chug, my Chug, and my wife's named Dino, and he's that's him when he was a little bit when we just got him, and he was really into destruction.
And
but he knew he was so cute that he would never be in trouble, and now he's rewarded for his misdeed by being the screensaver.
And it's hard to... Vera, there's Vera, our friend Vera. He does public relations for the museum.
Hey, Vera.
And author herself. She says, woo. We're here. I'm Jack. I don't know if you remember me, but I used to do some interviews on this show back in last year, and then I went, and I had to go away for a little while.
You needed to take a cool off period.
I think what they said was my episodes were just too popular, and the bandwidth they couldn't handle it.
Jack, go home and think about what you've done.
But thank you all for your cards and letters and telegrams, and I'm back and happy to be here. And David Craig Ellis,
hey, man.
you know this
This
character.
guy. Yeah.
He says woot woot, woot woot.
Excellent artist.
Is he a Hoboken?
No, he's a Brooklyn and now further upstate guy.
So he's got to go on Upstate Talks. This ain't Anianta Talks. Good guy.
Yes.
Right off the bat, I want to Rand, hit that slide. The first. I want to plug this right at the beginning.
Let's
and
do
even
it.
though it's we'll talk about it later, but for people who could just tune in for a few minutes or whatever, this book came out in the spring, early, and it's doing fabulously well.
It is doing really well. We're very pleased and relieved.
And your co-author, Mr. Richard Beanstalk. And what Washington Post called it, a firecracker of a book.
And they're right. I agree.
LA Times, a fun, dishy, and surprisingly moving read.
Hi, Jennifer.
juicy and fast moving, said the Wall Street Journal. No one knows.
That was about me, not the book.
So again, if you can only watch a few minutes of the show and you haven't yet purchased this, go to Little City Books. Say, hey, can I get a copy of that Lollapalooza?
And there's several Hoboken residents interviewed in this book. But we'll get to that.
We're going to get to that later.
Whoa.
We'll get to that later.
Okay.
All right. Take it down. All right. Tom.
Yes.
First of all, thank you for agreeing to talk. It was watching Yola Tango, and I think they went into like one of those, sort of a
jam.
A jam. Let's call it what it is. A jam. A meandering jam. Okay, I said it. And I mentioned, hey, would you like to be on there with the Hoboken Talks? And you agreed, and finally...
Well, you had been kind enough, because I totally, just like you had a table upstairs, and I just saw that empty chair, and I was like, that's where I'm going. If Jack lets me sit right there, look at that sight line. So I felt already that I owed you.
Well, that's... please, my table is your table.
Thank you.
And that goes for all of you out there. If you see me with a seat next to me, you're welcome to join me. So anyway, thank you for coming. Let's go way back. Born in France. The family was just always in France, or had located to France? Give me the family history.
On my dad's side, it's totally French.
Yeah.
Like there is going as far back as we can tell, and first in Brittany, and then in Paris, and my great grandfather and grandfather were both like fruit wholesalers.
Fantastic.
And then my dad was the eldest of 5, and he sort of, as soon as he could, skedaddled and was teaching English in Sweden, and then in Edinburgh, and then he made it to America, and that's where he kind of met my mom, who is a Scarsdale Jewess.
Which was the name of your third band.
Yes,
I think.
Exactly. And so they eventually connected.
Did I mention, I didn't, but if you're watching and live, and a handful of you are, you can add a little question for Tom, or a comment like woot woot is an acceptable comment. And in all seriousness, if you're watching this later on account of, because the optimum internet is, I guess, not on for a little while in Hoboken. So if you were trying to watch this live and then you were forced to watch it later and you had like a question or something, you still make it, and I'll get an answer from Tom. That's my guarantee to you, the home viewer. All right.
So yeah, that's that, and I'm fluent in French, and that was my dad's like main thing. He was like, my son will speak French.
How many languages do you know? Good. Thanks.
Just English, French, and cussing. But yeah, no, just those two. I didn't. I never learned. I probably should have learned one more.
It's all right. That's pretty good. It's pretty good to be fluent in two. And then when did the family?
I was 3 months old. So my dad was got a job at NYU in the French Lit department, and then my mom was at Hunter College for about 50 years. So she's American from.
And just couldn't get those final credits, or what? No.
Exactly, yes. I failed again. Yeah.
What was her specialty?
She was in Russian literature, and she also ran the honors program there for, I don't know, 25, 30, 40 years, and was acting provost of Brooklyn College for a couple of years and of Hunter for years. I'm the dumb, like I'm a click down from the parents.
Was there ever any hey, maybe you want to learn Russian?
You know, my mom only learned, it's her like great professional original sin, is that at the time that she got into being a Slavist, as it's called, you kind of didn't really have to learn to speak Russian.
Okay.
Because there was such a demand.
Right.
So she can read Russian, but she never really learned to speak it. So there was no pressure on me to learn it.
All right, fair enough. Because
then I would have outshined her and been locked in a closet.
We don't want that. All right. Of a man of multiple talents, we've already touched upon. Music is foremost is a through line in your
Absolutely,
life,
yes.
But also writing. Did those develop simultaneously, or?
It was actually more of a fallback. I wrote, I think I think I reviewed Tracy Chapman's record maybe for the my college's newspaper. But then I never really thought about that again. Like when I was in college, my deal was I'm going to get through college. I'm going to get good grades. I will have fulfilled my contract with my parents, and then I'm going to get signed.
Yeah.
And that was those were the words that I didn't really know what that meant, but I'm going to get signed.
All right. So let's just talk about that earliest interest in music, and clearly we know a lot of the same people, but it's just interesting. You occasionally meet someone who music means nothing to, and I'm fascinated when I'm in maybe a public setting and there's music and someone walks in and just doesn't even turn and look at it or notice it. But there are, and you're certainly one that has a deeper grab on you.
It definitely does, and for probably a variety of reasons. But I would spend summers in France, and I had two first cousins who were about 6 and I don't know, 8 years older than me, and they were the ones who really Quentin and Emma. They were so this is probably 79, 80-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd be listening to the Jam and Susie and the Banshees and Echo and the Bunnymen. And then Emma would be listen to check out the Stranglers,
right,
and
right.
Patti Smith. And so they were sort of turning me on to this stuff really early. And then I just got obsessed with the guitar. It's really it's not music as much, I think, that pulled me from point A to whatever point I'm at now, hopefully
right.
in the middle of the alphabet.
Sure.
But it's this weird obsession with the guitar.
Yeah.
So once I just got hooked on that around 11 or 12, that was the
And we have a photo of a band that forms around that.
Yeah, this would be
time.
84. There you go. Look how small I am.
Well, it's perspective, isn't it?
No, I don't think so. This was a band I was in called Addictive Manifesto, and we had a song called Crucify Me.
Okay.
And we had a song called Life's a Bitch and Then You Die.
Sure.
We're hitting all of the, but that that's 8th grade.
Yeah.
And so by the time I'm in 8th grade, and this is a thing I think a little bit unique to kids who grew up in New York City, I didn't have to be driven anywhere.
Right.
And
right.
and I guess because also I was a boy, I wasn't gonna get pregnant, like not to, So I was left like really to my own devices as of 8th grade.
Right.
So long as I was getting good grades. So like this band was playing like these weird, like these Rock Against Racism benefits with the False Prophets, like, downtown, and the guy on the top left claims that we played CBs, but I don't believe it. I think the next band I was in with him did, but like it was it was serious, and I was like off to the races and probably already smoking cigarettes and drinking. Like it was, but like being in a band had already become a thing.
And this is a very pretty professional looking even photo for that era, for 8th graders.
I think that Gary, the guy in the Coca-Cola shirt, his mom was the name of the band, Jennifer, was Addictive Manifesto. Believe it or not.
And Kayam Records is the label run by our friend and amazing singer-songwriter, like amazing.
Yes.
Jennifer O'Connor. Type that into your browser. Keep watching the show, but write that down, or even write it on a piece of paper.
As good as they get.
Agree.
One would say, yes.
Agree. And you've produced her. You've played on her records
and in her band.
And in her band. And also, if you find yourself in Nyack, and if the traffic is light, you can get there in like a half hour, 40 minutes. Main Street Beat, a fantastic record store.
And vintage clothing.
And
books.
And books. Go there and say hello to Jennifer and Amy. Another no slouch at all in the singer-songwriter department.
As good as they come.
Yeah.
That's a power couple of music.
Absolutely. And Kayam sends an emoji with it.
And
I think that's our first.
The dude top left is now he's an artist, Guy Smith. He's a cartoonist who's actually like in the New Yorker a lot. The other two, the guy on the bottom right, oddly, was the son of the superintendent in the building that I grew up in. Sean Gowan.
A little eyeshadow on there? No, I don't. Probably not.
Probably. So there you go. That was my band in 8th grade.
Okay, let's.
And we weren't really good, but I've heard it once since then, and it wasn't. I mean, it was coherent. It wasn't unlistenable.
Okay, that's more than.
And I was already struggling. Look at that age to like figure out how I was going to deal with curly hair and rock and roll.
Dino. What did you do, Dino? Bad dog. So, as you continued through high school and into college, more bands happening?
Yeah, the next, another band in 9th grade I think we were called Holy Infatuation. That was much more goth. And we did play CBGBs on audition night, and we did pass.
All right.
But then is when I really started getting into hair metal, too. And so then things get a little bit weird, because I was trying to fuse Poison and Husker Du, because I like both, flavors.
Sure.
And it was not I don't think I ever really. And then by the time I got to college, I was in a funk metal band called Soulcraft.
All right. I think we may have a photo from that. There he is.
Funk metal Beaujour. And we played Limelight opening for Warrior Soul. And we were actually, our singer was half Jamaican and half Polish, and we were in the Black Rock Coalition.
Okay, good. Good.
And that was when I was so heavy into shredding.
All right.
Yeah. I was I'm faster than that dude. So that was like the heavy guitar years until I realized that in 1992 that you weren't allowed to play that way anymore.
There had been a
shift from the permissibility of metaldom to alternative rock.
Right, right.
And so that was like that was a super fun time. We played a lot of gigs when I was in college with this band.
And indeed, yes, Jennifer comes in to say that is a sexy photo.
Thank you.
Indeed.
But that was the hair peak too. I was going through like I want to say like a bottle of Nexus Humectress every week to keep that together.
I keep getting an ad on the phone. It's these people. I didn't know I had curly hair until I unlocked it with.
Who would want to do that?
I don't know. All right, let's go back to us for a second, and you get out of school and you connect with the Great Guitar World magazine.
I mean, that was, and this is truth. It sounds apocryphal, but truth. Somebody asked me in high school, like, what are you going to do? I said, I'm either going to be a rock star or work at Guitar World magazine. And yeah, I got out of college and was like, I'm going to be a session guitar player. And then I realized really quickly that I was like, I'm totally not good enough to be a session guitar player. And I don't even know what that means.
Before you go on with that, Sandra Garney.
Very good friend.
Good friend.
Yes.
Says,
a Brit.
Says, let me chime in. Love that look, Tom, and you don't look old enough now to have done all this cool stuff.
Why, thank you. People are being nice tonight. Thank you, Sandra. So I really, I tried to get an internship there once and didn't, I don't know why, and then I called one day down there, and I didn't know this yet, and he became my mentor, but that Brad Talinsky, who was the editor of Guitar World for many, many years, has this tick that he has to pick up the phone. Like, he might have, I don't know if he, but it would be, I mean, for years after that, you'd be like, yeah, and then I had to, like, I think we're going to have to euthanize my dog, and he'd be like, wait, hold on 1 second. But it worked to my benefit and changed my life, because when I called, whatever that day was, he was at his desk, and he picked up, he's like, yeah, what? And I'm like, do you need interns? He's like, do you know about guitar? And I said, I know everything about guitar. And I had read every issue of Guitar World magazine. And so I went down and got an internship and then got hired and then became managing editor, because just luck, within 2 years.
And let's see a very cool photo from this.
See, I've destroyed my hair at this point. I'm undecided about my hair, and I've been taking half measures there.
And for anyone who doesn't immediately recognize, of course, that's Michael Anthony. No. It's the great Eddie Van Halen, who has. Inscribed it, get high much? Inside joke between you two? Or?
No, he just thought I looked like a stoner. We didn't even talk about weed. There was no weed talk. He just, that was at his house. That was at the legendary 5150 Studios. That was, really how lucky I got. I started at Guitar World in February of '94, and this is, I think, September, and I was already interviewing Eddie Van Halen, and it was that was one of the most insane days of still,
sure,
of my life, and I got to interview almost everybody I ever wanted to interview. I got to interview for Guitar World, metal people, but also Bob Mould and that was an awesome job.
Former Hoboken resident Bob
Bob
Mould.
Mould, yes. And then I decided that I had to go on tour with my band so that we could make it.
Yeah.
And I quit. I'm already a Hoboken resident when I quit.
All right. Wait.
What?
Now wait. Okay. Now wait. All right. So what the band at this point is?
I was in a sort of Cheap Trick obsessed power pop band called Shake Appeal.
Shake Appeal. All right. It's listed in the All Music Guide. It's
and at one point, I guess we were named best power pop band one year by that, like the New York Press. Remember New York Press?
Sure, I remember New York Press.
By David Grad. But it was like this band.
I have an essay that was in New York Press that's on the internet, except doesn't have my name on the online.
Sure, you wrote it.
I did.
But that band was the band that sort of broke my heart. I think probably anyone who's been in bands, they've got the one that like broke their heart. Where you're like, this is the one. This is the one. But I thought we were good, and it, through that band, I met my wife Maria.
Okay, so what? And then what brings you to Hoboken?
Met so.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, so we had this manager named Brad Morrison, rest in peace, who also managed the fabulous band The Figs.
Sure.
And he had recorded our record and this, that, the other thing. And literally, I think it was a Labor Day of 95. I better get this right. We get a call and he's like, I'm going to trigger alert, say something not politically correct, but this is what happened. Hey, there's this garage rock band coming up here to mix today. They're all chicks, and you guys should come up and hang out too. Do you guys want to hang? Yeah. And I'm like, okay. And I knew the bass player actually, who is I think still a Hoboken resident, Meredith Oakes. And
that was in 1996.
There you go. See, I've been corrected.
All right.
That was my wife correcting. And so we drove up there, and that was and then the band that was up there working was Sit and Spin.
Which we know a few people in. Yeah.
Yes, and so my wife was the drummer in that band, and we met that day, and then I started talking about like dog rescues and stuff, like whatever. I was, like really trying to. And anyway, when we got back home, I asked Meredith Oakes, I'm like, could you ask your drummer if I asked her out if she would say yes? Because I was like not in a good really headspace with my, and there you go. And so I moved to Hoboken in April of '97.
Is that accurate?
Is that right, Maria? That I know, yeah.
Yeah, sounds accurate.
Because one of us was moving in with the other, and I was in the city, and I really wanted to get out of the city. I went to college in the city. I grew up in the city, and also Maria's rent, because she was living in her father's former apartment. Her rent was $660 a month.
Okay.
So when you split that in half, that's free rent.
Right.
And so I moved to Hoboken then, and January. That is correct. And then, but by January of '98, I was like, "Oh, I got to take this band on tour." We were signed to Go Kart Records, which had like the Lunatics and a bunch of other bands, and I had to like push it to make it happen. And so I was like, quit my job January 1st. We're gonna go on tour. And so like we went on tour in February of '98 and did like 3 weeks in the Midwest.
Okay.
Probably to a total cumulatively of 50 people.
Right.
And I can flip out and like quit that band. And then started another band called True Love eventually.
With
Keith Hartel.
Keith Hartel, husband of Hoboken Talks alum Tammy Faye Starlight.
and they're both still, yes, Hoboken residents.
Yes.
And worked at Guitar Bar, James Mastro's Guitar Bar in 1998.
When there was only one.
Yes, before he started his empire. And then started the magazine Revolver, like went back to the same company.
And your mentor from Guitar World.
Took me back.
Yes.
First he made me do Penance, which was editing the Guitar World Buyer's Guide, which was like the word, that was like the go clean the toilets of a Guitar World magazine. And then we started Revolver in 98 or 99.
And that, I guess, more interesting to me than the wider public, but of a magazine that shifted its focus.
Oh yeah. Well, we started Revolver, and like the brief, our hope was we're going to do the American Mojo. If you're not familiar with Mojo, it's the best rock magazine.
I love it.
And we did that for about a year and a half, and we really tried. We had stories on like Death Cab for Cutie and Elliott Smith, like stuff that hadn't really totally even. Elliott had, but Death Cab hadn't really, but then we were also trying to be commercial, so we were making, I think, really bad unforced errors on the cover. Like we had Jonathan Davis on the cover of one, and basically by March of 2001, which is when I turned 30 and was about to get married in April. We came back from South by Southwest, the magazine staff, and the publisher was just like, "You're done. Like, this is not selling.
Yeah.
It's costing a lot of money. We're paying really good writers a living wage to write for us."
That was your first mistake.
Yeah. And they basically, I remember sitting in the office, and the publisher would just said like, "All right, you can either keep doing this Mojo thing, but it's going to be just you, and it's just going to be like, as cheap as possible." He's like, so I can't even take credit for this. He's like, all the heavy metal magazines in the U.S. are not that good, and if you want to do a heavy metal magazine, you can.
Okay.
And so that's what I did for the next 8 years. At the beginning of that, I was super bummed out, but I'm a kind of a competitive person. So then I was just like, all right, I'm going to make the best one and destroy everybody.
Okay.
And it worked.
Fair enough.
It still exists, Revolver, actually, in print.
That's something else. All right, let's catch up photo-wise. I think we have True Love.
Oh, yeah. That's at James Mastro's Pigeon Club on Newark Street, which is now the Everlast Gym.
Yes, and I guess now it has survived as a gym probably much longer than it was a
recording studio.
Yeah.
That was the best place because the Pigeon guys. It was called the Pigeon Club because it was a pigeon club.
Right.
And like the Pigeon guys were in the front of the building still. So you'd be coming in with your guitars, and I think one guy's name was Joe Quack, and they'd be sitting there like smoking, and they'd had like the chalkboards with the names of the pigeons, and it was so full on. And then the studio got destroyed in Sandy.
Well, it's very low-lying.
Yeah, it was completely wrecked. But that was one of the coolest things about Hoboken was the Pigeon Club.
And, newbies out there, if you want to watch the movie On the Waterfront, there's some great pigeon content in there.
See, the number up here is crazy because I feel like I can see I lost some people with my life story.
All right, we're gonna get them back.
So yeah, I guess I think the next shot's probably this is the original Revolver, the American Mojo Revolver, and this was a photo shoot with the great Guided by Voices that we did.
Who, despite recent news, they're still kicking.
They're still kicking, and I'm currently, though, working on a solo record with Doug Gillard, the guitar player.
Fantastic.
So that's what I've been working on the last couple of weeks.
At this past year's Hanukkah, and I had had a few beverages. But as I went, I think I was going down to the basement, and I said, "Hello, Doug Gillard," and he doesn't know me, so I feel bad. I think we're Facebook friends.
I'm sure he was very nice, and
it was exciting for me to walk past.
It is very fun to be recording a record for. He is one of my seriously favorite guitar players, so it's really fun.
Yeah.
And that's my wedding, which was to Maria, who's
Sure.
hopefully she's still watching. But we got married at Maxwells.
Fantastic, and you're on Hudson Street.
Yes, and and we had the Figs play were our wedding band.
That is great.
And James Mastro officiated.
I think we have a photo of that. Let's look at this photo for another second or two. I mean, obviously you and Maria.
Go back, yeah. As the drummer in the band Aeon Station that I play in said to me after he met Maria, he's like, "You're punching above your weight, right?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm fully aware."
That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
And as you said, at Maxwell's, officiated by the great and also Hoboken Talks guest James Mastro. A rare shot without the little cap.
I clearly loaded in that photo. That was a very fun wedding.
And let's not. Let's take that down for a second. So let's talk about the 2000s post marriage, living in Hoboken, and start you start a studio at some point.
Some point, yeah. So I started. We had a basement in our. So I was in this band True Love and playing all the time and doing Revolver. And True Love for a while, that was a great. Everybody in that band, our whole thing was we give up. We're all 30.
Yeah.
We're we give up. We're just gonna practice a lot and be as good as we can. And it was a very satisfying band to be in for 10 years. And at a certain point, I started assembling. Recording equipment in the basement.
Okay.
I'd sort of been into it before, but not really. And then I was like, "Oh, this is really fun." And I'm really I'm a person of too many guitars and amplifiers. So I was really getting into recording guitars. And then Matthew Cause from Not a Surf, who has been a friend of mine since we were I was probably 7 and he was 10.
Wow. Okay.
Our parents were academics together. They taught. His mom taught at Hunter. So he came over and they were trying to get their record done, and he recorded some guitars with me for the record. And when it went to get mixed, the mixer guy was like, "Whoa, these guitar sounds really good." And that and I kind of just took that and was like, "All right, I think I can do this."
Yeah.
And moved out of the basement to the Yardley building first.
Yes, okay.
Up on the hill, where they told us it was going to be torn down, which was not true.
Still there.
I learned so, and then I moved to a completely illegal situation on 8th between Clinton and Grand in that Wonder Bread building, which is now the beautiful condo.
Yeah.
I was on the 4th floor. I moved in there. I had to wire in the electricity. It was a fiasco, I think is the right word.
Was that sticker guy in there at the time?
No, but Bill, was next door. There was some stuff going on there. There was the fruit guys. It was mainly the fruit sellers.
Yeah.
And I had to pull that thing together, and I should have bailed out, and I didn't. And made a studio there on the 4th floor. I had a pellet stove for heat. It was really, looking back, I it was one of what's the thing called the fallacy, the sunken cost fallacy.
Yeah,
like where you keep going because you're. They're really looking back. It took about a year to get that place started. At like month 4, it's just been like, this is a bad idea. But it was a really great space for most of the time I was there, and until they put in a CrossFit gym underneath it, which is very Hoboken. And so suddenly one day there were people, I just heard like, bam, bam, and I'm like, oh no, what is that? And then like really loud, they were playing Disturb the Sickness coming through the floor. And I realized that they were flipping tires and dropping weights underneath the studio. And like the whole building would kind of contract like we were being shelled. It was not a good scene. But before that happened, I got to record really great stuff there and I think get pretty good at it pretty quick. I was upset, like not since like practicing guitar had I been like, I'm going to just learn how to do this really fast. Like I would practice and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I did Jennifer O'Connor's, one of her records there. I did a bunch of Not a Surf stuff there. I did Hugh the Photo, Minor Alps there.
Let's go back to
that photo,
which was a collaboration between Matthew Cause of the Not a Surf and the great Juliana Hatfield.
Yes. And so
had you met her before that?
I had not met her before that.
And you have gone on one of her great and probably not her most known record,
no,
but
maybe her least.
But a great
thank you
sounding record. The songs are great, and that should be reissued.
I really like doing it, and this was a great record to do, and the last record I did in this space.
Okay.
Because we got thrown out, like rightfully so. Dawn Zimmer, once she figured out like there were people living on this floor too, and so
mixed use.
We got like pulled into the fire department on what is it, 9th and Clinton, the like by the ear sort of like it was like you everybody from that floor come, and she's like look people. She was actually super nice. She's like, look people, we don't even know how many people are up there. We don't know the layout of the floor. If there's a fire up there, firefighters are gonna die trying to find you. Right. Like, you gotta go. And she was right. I mean, and then so I moved to Water Music, which was already there.
The legendary
yes
Water Music, which I guess was at its second location by this point. Okay,
it was on 9th and Madison.
In the ShopRite area.
Yes, right across from the ShopRite.
And where CrossFit moved.
And that was like a wonderful. I was in the B room, which has been called the Inferno room there, and that was just such a great. I got to get that space because the person who had been in there had all of their stuff destroyed during Sandy.
Okay.
So when I moved into this B room at Water, there was still like sewer water stuck in like some of the insulation, and it was super gross.
Yeah.
But again, I did a Not a Surf record there. I did the Juliana Hatfield record there. I did another Jennifer O'Connor record there. That was a great space to work in.
Yeah.
I did Attacker, who are Hoboken's finest metal band. Just a lot of really great stuff and a lot of great times there, and got to meet John Agnello, who was working next door. That was an amazing space, and there was, I don't know if anybody remembers when you went to ShopRite, but like we had a yard with trees and squirrels, and
right.
Eat lunch like humans. It was a great space.
R.I.P.
Oh yeah, I mean, and then we got thrown out. That's like what happens with recording studios. You just get thrown out.
And I think developers have figured out a way to calm down the public before they tear stuff down, because it happened with the diner, and it happened with Water Music. They said, we're going to tear these things down, but when we build up, you're going to have the
right. Something. Yeah.
You have the when Water Music was coming back and the diner was going to come back, Malibu. Right. Neither came back.
Yeah, and the water thing, there was about 2 years where we were like waiting to get nuked, and then we finally just had to go. That was a true bummer because it stood for like 3 years. I think I left there in January of 2018.
Yeah.
And it stood for like 3 years after that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, come on, couldn't we just be here?
Right. Well, that's another thing.
Making records?
Yeah.
I think there's some photos of that studio too. That's the control room, which was like a metal box that had been brought in by Rob Grenoble, the owner. Like a mobile metal space station box in the middle of a giant space.
And you named it Nut House.
Well, my nickname has been the Squirrel since meeting Maria, so my nickname's the Squirrel. So all of the studios that I've been at are Nut House recording.
Okay.
I think I'm now on 5 or 5.
Right.
But, and people, this is right when I moved in, so you can't see it. But like by 4 months later, it was covered in squirrels, like gift squirrels, squirrels from my collection. Yeah.
And then we have a troubling photo, but not a photo that is unfamiliar to anyone who's
this is
spent
what
some
would
time
happen
in
back
Hoboken.
there when it rained. So when it started raining really hard, you had to leave or stay.
Right.
You had to just decide, like, I'm gonna, because this would happen fast.
Yeah.
I just put that there because that was a super Hoboken-y photo. I thought.
And weirdly, it's fine on the sidewalk across the street. And then we've mentioned Not a Surf a few times. We have a photo of that.
Yes.
What I find...
Doug Gillard again. Sure. Second appearance.
Sure. Can't get it up.
Yeah. And see, now you can see the squirrels creeping in.
Right. And also, and this may just be of interest to me, but Not a Surf kind of had a fluke hit. Let's not a fluke because it was a great song, but not really representative of the band's oeuvre, whatever. But you knew him during the time of like the subject of the song, of being I
knew them
popular.
when they would play it like at weird clubs in the city.
Yeah.
And it was initially popular. It was kind of like this song where they would have friends come up and read all those words from the song, like remember to brush your hair, which was from a real book.
Yeah.
I really think like no, and it's not just because he's my friend. Like no band, I can't think of another band that like managed to pull themselves out of being like tarred, like as like 90s, like like signing blah blah blah, one hit wonders, and they were just like, nope, that's not how we're going down. And then like just started over, and they didn't play that song for I think like 20 years. Now they've reconciled with it, but this was a fun record.
Yeah, they have put out some fantastic records, and pretty much all of them you're.
So not the last two, because they're doing it in England, which is a source of I would like to work on all their records because there's only 2 people. Like there's 2 people I've worked with, maybe 3, because Jennifer and Amy Beznartea, her wife, and Matthew Cause are the like these just devastatingly good singers, where like they just come in and you're like, it really that gives you a lot of perspective too. If you've been a person who was singing in bands, you're like, no business singing in a band.
Right.
So, you know, they've all. I've been lucky to work with some very cool and frighteningly good people.
Now, this next, let's go to the next photo.
Okay.
Very popular television.
The best photo of me ever taken, I would like to say.
Very popular television program of about 10 years ago. Orange is the New Black. Set in a prison. People love the show. How'd you get involved with...
how the heck did this happen? This would be all thanks to Lyle Heisen of also Hoboken fame, and I think a guest, right?
He was a guest of mine on Hoboken Talks.
So Lyle had a...
And yet the whole first half of 2025, no Jack. Just point that out. Okay.
So Lyle
yes.
cooked up this scheme. I remember we were at Maxwells. I don't remember what show we were seeing. We're standing in the back near the stairs, and he's like, I have this... I don't know if he said scheme, but like I got this idea. And he was like, I'm going to get you, and the original plan was you, and on the far right there is Tim Foljahn of $2.
I'm going to say right now will be a future guest of mine on Hoboken Talks. Fascinating guy.
Fascinating guy, one of my very, very, very best friends ever. And another person I recorded a couple records with and is awesome. But Lyle Heisen said, I'm going to do this thing. It's going to be you and Jennifer O'Connor and Tim, and you're going to be... He had the whole thing planned out. You're going to write and record the music for this band that they're going to have on that I've heard about on Orange is the New Black.
Right.
And then I'm going to also get you in the show to be the band. Like that was the whole... He like just laid the... This is what I'm going to pull off.
Yeah.
And so...
For people who don't know, Lyle, sort of his day job is taking existing music and getting television shows to use that music, and that's good for the musicians. And
he's been like a guardian angel of many musicians.
Right,
you know,
right.
Like, he's the guy he'll be like, oh, by the way, Apple wants to use your song, and here's $75,000.
Right,
you know?
right.
Which is where it's gotten a little less lucrative, but one of the places where you can actually make some money as a musician these days. So he had this idea, and then unfortunately, the producers felt that so there's this band in Orange is the New Black called Side Boob.
Right. Which
I should have given a trigger warning for that one. That was chosen by them, and
that's
band,
much worse than Chicks, which you said earlier. That was nothing.
Yeah. So the premise is that Nick Sandow, who is the actor who's second from the left, who's the assistant warden at the prison, has this band.
Yeah.
That's called Side Boob.
Right.
And he's got that plays shows.
Sure.
And so they needed to build a band for him.
Right.
And so we wrote the songs. Jennifer O'Connor, Tim, and I wrote the songs. And then the producers, unfortunately, of the show felt that a guy who spent his days in a women's prison, I think this was the reasoning, would want to just be with
dudes.
Yeah, he wants some dude soup after work.
Okay.
So and that was dicey, and Jennifer was super cool about it, because that's like a bummer, right?
Sure.
If she's still watching, thank you for being cool about it. And so we got Ira, that's Ira from Not a Surf, Ira Elliott on drums.
Right.
his last name was, I think his name was Ronley in the show. I forget what mine was. And so we ended up being onto the booth. There's Jennifer. We ended up being on 2 episodes, 2 or 3, I can't remember, of Orange is the New Black. And, performing and the music that we wrote and recorded at my studio.
Yeah. And do you get a little royalty? I don't know how things work in this streaming world.
It's
but,
like, you kind of get these checks that you sometimes are too lazy to cash because they're like 14 cents.
Right.
But and so Nick, the actor, would come out to the studio. We got decent money to do it. But Nick would come out to the studio and do the singing, and it was just a super, great hang. Like it's one of these things that while it's happening, you're like, this was not something that I thought was going to be happening this year. And just great fun, and it's still, still I guess up there. I hope generations to come will discover the boob.
Right. Or there'll be a reboot or a reboob. I don't know.
Exactly.
But they'll call you up again. Let us get to your.
Am I talking too much?
No.
Okay.
No. But we should talk about becoming a best-selling author. Twice over now.
I'll give you the really quick version because it goes back to the studio too. Is Richard Beanstalk, my co-author and partner in crime, and I had worked together at Guitar World and then Guitar Aficionado magazines.
Yes.
And as early as like 2010, I'd been like, dude, we should do a book on hair. All we ever talk about is hair metal. Like, it's our baseball. He's also into baseball, but I'm only into hair metal. But it's like, can you imagine if Vito Bratta had been in Cinderella? Like fantasy hair metal. And we would just only talk about this stuff. And, I'd been thinking about doing it. I had this idea of doing a book that would just be about the end of hair metal, like the last years.
Okay.
Working title, Into Thin Hair. Like I have notebooks that say that. But fast forward a couple of years to like 20, whatever it was, 18, 17. I was working in the studio and I was recording Paul Stanley's son, Evan, who had a really good power pop band called The Dives.
The Dives.
They sounded like, they kind of sounded like Squeeze or whatever. They're really good. And so we recorded this EP. I was really happy with it, mixed it. And then they had to get it ready quickly because they were going to go perform on the Kiss cruise.
Nice.
And then it was about to go to mastering, and Evan was like, I played it for my dad, and he doesn't think it sounds like we sound live. And the whole thing just got like tanked. I got paid, so but they were, and I just had this moment where I was like, I cannot only be sort of at the mercy of the whims of bands. Like I cannot have my whole ego self tied to other people's opinions of what I do. And so I that day called Richard Beanstalk, my co-author, who's probably not watching, knowing him, and was like, dude, do you want to do the book? And so we decided to do the hair metal book.
Yeah. And Ram, can you jump ahead a few slides to the...
It's the one that's pink and white. Go figure. There it is.
There we go. Look at that. New York Times bestseller with a nice pull quote from Bret Michaels of Poison.
This thing was... It was surprise, like without being gross about it, it did better than we ever could have hoped.
Well, as it says at the bottom, there's a Paramount docu-series.
And for a book that nobody wanted originally, like our agent is a Jersey City guy. Do you know David Dunton?
I don't know David.
He played with Kevin Salem.
I know Kevin Salem.
And
if I
was
said
formerly married.
Salem,
but nobody wanted to do this book.
Yeah.
And he finally found a guy at St. Martin's Press who grew up listening to Twisted Sister, and like we squeaked in to getting a book deal. Like we really almost didn't.
Yeah.
afterwards he confessed, like when the book had come out and done well, it's like, I didn't think I was going to get you guys a deal. And that was the most fun book to do.
And you got to interview all your favorite hair metal people from when you were a tween. And
they kind of could tell that both of us we weren't in it to like make fun of them. And then just through it came out important. For these guys especially, who have been just crucified by the press forever. And it came out, I guess, March of 21, and through some combination of COVID, cabin fever, and people like needing entertainment, and this being like an incredibly underserved market for like it's like a serious book, like we just like it was like boom, and that was nice, and I was happy because like I basically think like. Would my dad have been psyched because he had passed before, and I think he would have, but he would also have been jealous, and like that's I was like, all right, I should have. There was like it was a drop moment,
And though it would be natural to talk about the current book, I don't want to. We have a couple of great photos in between, so. You've never given up playing guitar.
No.
You love the guitar.
I love the guitar.
I love the guitar.
The next book I'm doing is all guitar.
I can't. But Mr. Dave Hill, former WFMU DJ, man about town, a big Manhattan show that when I heard it advertised on Q104.3, I'm like, he's made it.
He's made it. Yes, Dave Hill has become a very good friend over the years and collaborator.
But, let's put up the photo first, and you could tell us about it.
Oh, yeah.
This is from the band with Dave Hill is called Witch Taint.
Witch Taint.
Which I was very happy to see you guys at Mercury Lounge.
Oh, you saw one of the shows?
Yes. Absolutely.
It was the intersection of black metal and humor.
Yeah.
That was one of the most fun bands. This band, unfortunately, like imploded in a heated intellectual property dispute, and I won't get even more into it than that. Like literally, one day we were like told that it was over, but.
Wait, I'm going to go back to the two shot for a second. So, Tom, are you saying that my Witch Taint button is a collector's item now?
Yes. Okay. I might. Yes. I'm like looking at it enviously. It might still be available, but yes, it is a collector's item. So that band, I will tell you, having just been speaking about Paul Stanley from Kiss, that playing in corpse paint like this is the most liberating thing. Like, you really are up on stage and you are free.
Yeah. Now, did you have a character name with it?
Yes, my name was Thomas Guillotine.
Yes.
No H in the and we did
Thomas,
Thomas. We had my friend Jen Vale, who's an actual opera singer, sang. She was La Sinistra. We were the stage right. She sang opera in the band. Dave Hill
kept the beard.
That was I kept the beard. Eventually, I didn't, but yeah, it was. I was always like, do I put the white makeup in the beard? What do I do? But this was one of the most fun bands to be in of all time.
And despite the death of Witch Taint,
yes.
You've continued to work with Mr. Dave Hill in next. So it's a podcast.
Yes. I'm also in a band. I've been in two other bands with Dave Hill.
Okay.
One called Painted Doll with this guy Chris Reifert, who's a legendary heavy metal drummer.
Sure.
And then I'm in Dave's band Valley Lodge.
Right.
And I've recorded all three of these.
I feel I've seen one of those in addition to Witch Taint.
And Valley Lodge is an ongoing concern.
But this is neither of those.
This is our next band. This is our other band. Yeah. This and then of course inevitably, as one must, Dave and I started a podcast.
Sure.
Called Axe Lords, which is we're starting season 2 now, and our third co-host Cindy Hulej is a guitar. She built that guitar that she's holding. She's a luthier. She works out of Carmine Street Guitars.
Ah, okay.
And is just like full on makes awesome guitars. And here we are with Carrie King of Slayer.
Nice.
from season 1. So yeah, we're doing that. This is super fun to do. Again, this is the intersection of guitar and comedy. But it's Dave. The way Dave describes it is I'm like the play-by-play.
Okay.
He's the color guy.
Right, right.
And it's really fun to do it, because you know what is better about doing a podcast than being a writer is you just do the interview and then you're done. You don't have to write a story.
As the places for my own writing began to disappear, that's why I love doing this. And people, not that people don't still read, but it's very much easier for them to sit and watch it.
So this is like a super fun thing to do, and we actually just got sort of backing to do season 2, so we're off and
congratulations. And that's on all the popular Apple Podcasts and Spotify and Amazon.
Wherever you
pod, it's there.
It's there.
Axe Lords. And let's go back to us for a second, and we'll try not to go too long, but the Nothing But a Good Time, smash success, a surprise success. And so they're like, hey, you guys got another book in you? Or how did
that's exactly how it went. Yeah, that's pretty much exactly how it went. What are you going to do next? And that...
Well, it's a different publisher, is it?
Same publisher.
Same publisher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same publisher. So, and...
Well, they're all owned by the same company.
Yeah, no, this is all... St. Martin's is owned by Macmillan.
Okay.
But we've got this... Our guy, Mark, at St. Martin's is... He was like, yeah, what do you got next? And the good thing was we didn't actually kind of have to write a proposal, because we had proven that we could make a book.
Yeah.
And so we just figured... We talked about it extensively, and the sort of doing something that starts in 1991 with Lollapalooza is really where the other book ends.
Right.
And, you know, these are a lot of it, especially the side stage bands, are people that I get to talk to, my friends and stuff. And it was a way to do 90s quote unquote alternative rock while putting some guardrails on ourselves, like circumscribing it. We're going to just stay with bands that were on Lollapalooza.
Right, right.
And that way we know what bands we have to cover, which ones we don't. And it still gets to all of like the main 90s themes, like, which are mainly fear of selling out and desire to be cool. And heroin. So like that's you know, like, but this sort of obsession in the 90s with like, are we selling out, which seems so quaint now. You know, like, is it cool to do Lollapalooza?
Right,
like,
right.
No band presented with any opportunity to survive and do something good for the summer at this point, I think, would have such compunctions, like, to be like, oh, I don't know, man.
I still, you know, because I'm from that same period.
No, me too.
And
but,
you know, I avoided listening to things that were on major labels for a long time, and I had to go back and then discover some great records that were put out in the early 90s.
It was a totally legitimate point of view. It was and the other reason it existed was, you know, people didn't come out of a vacuum. Sonic Youth didn't come out of a vacuum. You know, Dinosaur Jr., a lot of the bands had come up through the 80s and real indie rock.
Right,
being,
right.
You know, separate from the mainstream. It just became more difficult for these bands, I think, psychologically, once they were in the mainstream. You know, and like something I've said before is like, suddenly like you're the kid, who was getting thrown in the locker, and you're performing and making a lot of money because the kid who threw you in the locker is in the audience in a backward baseball cap, and so it was a weird time, but that's all contained within Lollapalooza. There you go.
Excellent. And as you mentioned,
story, and I'm sticking to it.
As you mentioned at the beginning, the aforementioned Lyle Hyson of Hoboken is interviewed in this book. The not aforementioned but mentioned now Steve Shelley.
Yes.
Of Sonic Youth. I did interview his predecessor Bob Burt. But,
former neighbor, a great man, and Tim the aforementioned
the
Tim
future guest.
Yeah, Tim Foljahn is also in there. I think that's all of the Hoboken.
Who did Tim?
He was in Mosquito.
They were on the second.
They were on the side stage. I mean, I'm gonna say that it's perhaps possible that if Tim wasn't like my best friend, I wouldn't have been like, I gotta get the guitar player from Mosquito in the book. But
well, it's another perspective.
Exactly. And he was great, because he talked about, he's like, we didn't think it was that cool, but like it's the most money we ever made on the road, and so there you go. Yeah, got to talk to some friends, make some new friends. A lot of people who were like 1 degree separated, who had been in bands. And once again, like Lyle was super helpful in putting it together. He was actually, maybe his greatest professional achievement was getting me into Side Boob and Side Boob on Orange is the New Black. But he was also very instrumental in helping put together the 1993 side stage and helping the people at Lollapalooza sort of figure out who to call before you could just DM, slide into DMs.
Right. Very cool.
So there you go.
All right, so
that's my whole life.
Buy the book, and maybe we don't know if it'll be a docu-series, or maybe we do.
There was, what happened is a docu-series came out on Lollapalooza while we were working on the book. So I don't think I'm going to get to have that.
There's
sticker.
like 6 documentaries on Stax Records. I could have 2 on all of them.
I mean, believe me, we're taking meetings. We're trying. We're pitching. I just don't know if we're going to,
All right, let's go back to us for the conclusion. So people can buy the book wherever.
Yes.
It's an audio book for people
We had to correct some crazy things in there, but it's now, I think, I'm not even going to get into it.
Don't get into it. It's the version you get now is really very good, very accurate, strong, and even it's you're like, hey Jack, I don't have any money. It's at the library. You can get it at the library, but throw a few bucks their way. Come on, buy the book. Buy the book.
And then I guess my only last plug. Oh no, what?
Well,
Are you gonna get it?
No, you can plug it.
No. You go ahead. I don't want to get in your.
No, for people who would want to see you.
You're leading the dance, Jack. I'm sorry.
That's all right. But there's it's been an annual event for the past 4 years, something like that, 5 years. I don't know. Called Lo-Fi Takes the Streets.
Yes.
Which is just up the hill, Palisades and Ferry.
Yes, correct.
Free. The day before Father's Day.
Correct.
June 14th.
Yes.
And the band, sub pop recording artists, Aeon.
But I say Aeon, but it's correct as Aeon.
Aeon Station, which includes yourself, our friend Lisa, who was in Overlake and other projects we've enjoyed.
And then 3/4 of the Wrens.
3/4 of the Wrens. Wrens minus Charles. And tour. There was a tour.
We played a bunch of shows. We had a horrible mishap at South by Southwest, where our singer Kevin was jumping up and down, which he tends to do.
Yeah.
And completely blew out his knee, like where he had to be taken out with paramedics.
Oof,
but he's back.
He's back.
He's back.
He's back.
So we'll be, we'll be playing, I think, 2 songs from the record that we're desperately trying to finish before Sub Pop goes like, who?
Yeah.
And from our last record, and of course some Ren's classics.
Fantastic. Approximately what time
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
We're either headlining or playing last, depending on what mood. you know, that's always a big question, right?
My whole life, I was like, the last band is the main band. But then at some point, and I won't mention, but I'm like, no, this was the name on the ticket that I came to see, and there was a band after them, and I was like, what's happening?
Going quickly back to the Lollapalooza book, that's one of the great things that happens every year after the second or third year is bands vying to be second to last because they don't want to be last. 'Cause that's when people are going to their cars. So we'll see. Hopefully people will stay.
Well, I look forward to that. The book is in stores and online. The podcast is available.
Yes.
And anything coming up that we need to know about?
I think that's pretty much it. There's a Valley Lodge show down in South Jersey next week, but I can't remember where.
Where can people find out about your various projects?
I'm at the Beaujour at Instagram. I'm not great about it.
Okay.
But that's where you can find me shilling, as they say.
All right, you gotta do it.
Gotta do it.
Gotta get the word out.
You gotta dance. Yes.
I got one more picture.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. Verhand, I apologize. I'm a little rusty. I'm a little rusty.
Not actually being annoyed, but looking annoyed at Kim Thiel.
Thiel, is it how you pronounce it? All right. Of Soundgarden.
On our book, we did a book tour for Lollapalooza.
And he wrote the foreword for the book.
Yes. And he came out in Seattle. And it was pretty... This was before he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So he would still agree to do it.
Yeah.
And he was wonderful and funny. And then we got to go out for wings and pizza and beer with him. Which is another one of those things where you're like, 1990 Tom, you're going to go for wings and beer and pizza with Kim Thiel.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be okay. So yeah, this was, and then we had the bass player, Timmy C from Rage Against the Machine the next night in LA. Super fun tour.
Yeah.
And also found the time to visit Eddie Van Halen's childhood home in Pasadena in the middle of the night and harass whoever lives there because we were taking selfies with the Flash. There you go. That's everything I've done.
Fantastic.
Thank you
so much.
No,
I love this interview. As has happened post-pandemic, a lot more people will watch this, which is so if anyone of you people came in late, it is almost instantly archived on YouTube, and that's where they live, and I think people are really going to enjoy this one. So congratulations on all your success.
Thank you.
And your studio is now up the hill.
Up the hill in Union City.
Union City.
Yes. On Monastery Place, it's
and on higher ground, isn't
high. Yes, yes. If that goes underwater, we're all in a lot of trouble.
Eric Kammer says thank you.
Thank you,
Eric. Thank you for hanging in there, and I'll see you on the 14th.
Bye. Thanks.
Tom Beaujour has been our guest on Hoboken Talks. Coming soon, Chip Huisler, and I'm doing that one too. And I'm going to have to figure out how to pronounce Huisler. Whistler. Where was he born? After that, Rosanna Versace. I'm not doing that one. No, hey, the the New Jersey Historical Commission. We appreciate it. They've supported since the beginning. The Shipyard Circle are the people who big pockets for the supporting the museum. We love them, but you know what? Just as much we love you if you come into the museum and drop a couple of dollars in the box. We thank you. You help keep it going. But we've run long. I'm going to mention them all. Tom, wait. No, Rand doesn't want me to. I'm not going to. Iron State. There are landlords here, and the rent is $1 a year. So that's pretty good. Thank you, Iron State. Tom and I are sitting among the upper gallery show, which is called Can You See Me Now? Photographs by Roberto Rosa III. Photos taken on the west side of Hoboken. And it's up here till June 22nd. So come on by during the museum hours. We're open 6 days a week. And come upstairs. The main show downstairs, which Tom and I were talking about before we started rolling, the Hoboken Meadows. Pretty much built on a swamp, but some fascinating photos of the old days, especially the west side of town. This one on the right is from 1890, 1887 on the left. And this is, I think, running the rest of the year, so you don't have to rush, but you'll get to enjoy that show as well. We're all over the social media, Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, so all this stuff helps us with the algorithm. So comment and like, and you love this interview, so share it and subscribe so you never miss any of this fantastic content. My name has been and continues to be Jack Silbert. Our technical director is Rand Hoppy, and our guest this week was Tom Beaujour for Hoboken Talks from the Hoboken Historical Museum.